Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 8 through 10 of YanXi Palace. Yingluo finally leaves the embroidery department behind and makes her debut at Changchun Palace. She's welcomed by the Empress's personal maid Mingyu, and by welcomed I mean told 100 rules in an unnecessarily antagonistic tone.
千万别碰前院那些茉莉花，你粗手笨脚的，别给碰坏了。
Yingluo bides her time until she finally spots Fu Heng. She pretends to drop his pendant, brushing it off and drawing his attention to it, but before he can ask about it, the Empress calls him in. He finds her later and tells her to return his pendant. By the way, this broom is just made to be as miserable as possible. Why do they hate servants so much? After trying to get some information out of him to no avail, she returns it. There are a few possibilities for why Aman would have his pendant, but Yingluo starts to think it may have been the worst one. He was the one who attacked her. Mingyu spots her talking to him and heads over to discipline her for seducing her precious Fu Heng. Honestly, can't tell if it's jealousy or protectiveness over her mistress's little brother, but probably jealousy. She makes it her mission to make things difficult for Yingluo and tells the other maids to ignore her as well. She also bars Yingluo from seeing the Empress and badmouths her to the Empress whenever she can.
重新打扫。
Yingluo's no stranger to petty maids though.
是。
Urchin, clearly the mature one, sees what she's doing and advises her not to let her jealousy cloud her judgment. Yingluo continues to do her job to the best of her abilities, and she even tries warning Mingyu that it's clearly going to rain and they should do something about the flowers. But Mingyu is so set on going against Yingluo that she'll even ignore what her eyes and ears are telling her.
你讲讲道理好不好？
When the thunderstorm arrives, Yingluo takes the initiative to go outside and cover up the Empress's beloved jasmine flowers. The Empress goes out and sees this, and it's obvious that Mingyu has been lying about her. Now that the Empress is mostly out of her depression and turning over a new leaf, it would be nice if she would take back control of her maid situation, because Mingyu is toxic. We need more than that little head shake, please and thank you. Gao comes to the Empress's palace and spots Yingluo. She has not forgotten about Yingluo's little trick. She has her servants grab her and wants them to cut her tongue out, but before things get too serious, the Empress arrives. Gao tries to claim she's within her rights as Yingluo lied to her face, but Yingluo retorts that she never said she was a fool and she can't be blamed for Gao misunderstanding.
可能奴才就天生长了一副蠢样。
区区一个奴才，本宫就是看他不顺眼，还罚不得吗？
No, you can't! It's insane that she even thought she could just enter the Empress's palace and do this. The Empress really must have been lax as hell until now. Once Gao leaves, Yingluo does tell her the whole truth of what happened. Jia Pian, Gao's right-hand gal, begins to encourage Gao to get rid of Yu and the baby in her belly. As it stands, second and third prince are dead, leaving first and fourth prince as the only princes. Jia Pian is fourth prince's mother and so worries about any future competition. Gao doesn't have any children yet, but someone who hates her having a son can't do her any good. Jia suggests they try to kill Yu and frame it as a suicide. Meanwhile, Consort Shen's little brother gets himself into trouble. He colludes with the dissident and engages in bribery, things that the emperor is cracking down on hard. The emperor is struggling to clean up his court, and Consort Shen knows this. Even with her mother begging and pleading and guilting as much as she can, she refuses to go and ask for leniency. Her mother obviously does not applaud her for sticking strong to her morals and not expecting preferential treatment for her misbehaving family members. It's a tough position, but it's clear that to Shen, her integrity means more to her than anything. And in fact, it looks like she got that from her father, who has also been a straight arrow his entire life. I'm curious to hear other thoughts on this because as noble as her intentions are, this is a lot. To dive a little deeper into her situation, I mean, her brother did it. He's guilty. I don't think he deserves a lighter punishment than his co-conspirators just because he has a powerful sister. But then, ethics are one thing, and the reality of leaving your brother to die, knowing it's probably within your power to save him, is something else. It's really hard to blame the mom for her reaction here. But then I also don't blame Shen, really. Okay, maybe I blame Shen a little. Yingluo is sent to see Yu on the Empress's behalf and see how her pregnancy is coming along. Well, actually, Mingyu is sent, and then she pushes it off on Yingluo, no doubt intending to take credit once the job is done. Annoying. Yingluo arrives to an empty courtyard. She readies herself to leave, but stops when she hears the sounds of a struggle. She finds a man strangling Yu and tries to fight him off. In the ensuing struggle, he hits his head and passes out. One thing that remains consistent with harem dramas is that any kind of hit to the head results in a concussion, if not death. Yingluo runs out to get help, only to find Gao ordering her guards to capture her. With no choice, she runs back inside and bars the door. Thinking fast, she starts a fire, alerting the guards and drawing them to the palace. Really quick thinking, but terrifying considering how easily these buildings can go up in flames. Fu Heng and his guards arrive just in time, and Gao begins to spin her tale.
本宫今日经过永和宫，本想顺路看看于贵人，怎知正巧遇见了魏璎珞等谋害于贵人。
Yingluo of course points out that the actual killer is right there on the floor. When they wake up the would-be assassin, he hems and haws and finally claims that it was the Empress that ordered him to kill Yu. Fu Heng, bro, take this guy in for questioning. On what planet is he going to confess right in front of the person probably holding his family hostage or whatever she's got on him?
本宫何时成了杀人主使，竟茫然不知。
I'm so living for the Empress's dramatic entrances. Before they can get to the bottom of this eunuch story, he takes some poison he had hidden in his mouth and dies. Gao begins to blame the Empress, saying this must have all been part of her plan and she must have sent Yingluo to ensure that everything went smoothly. Her story immediately begins to fall apart when Yingluo tries to get her to explain why she would have fought so bitterly with the eunuch if they were both working for the Empress. Not to mention, Yingluo showed up with medicine for Yu while Gao showed up with an army of eunuchs. Who shows up like this for a friendly visit? In a final, incredible move, when Gao tries to get her for breaking palace rules by so rudely accusing her superior of misconduct, Yingluo responds that she is completely right. How could a noble consort on nothing but the word of a servant so blatantly accuse her superior, the Empress, of attempted murder?
本宫认为他说的每一句话都很有道理。高贵妃，你说呢？
Gao, 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 you are in so deep over your head and you don't even know it yet. Seething but beaten, Gao has no choice but to give her deepest apologies and retreat once again. Yu lives, though she is well and truly traumatized. With no witness and no real proof, there's not much else the Empress can do about Gao's attack on Yu, but the Empress is grateful to Yingluo, and her eyes have been opened to how much of a threat Gao really is. Fu Heng goes to see Yingluo and give her some medicine. She lays the charm on thick, knowing she needs to get close to him to get the answers she's looking for.
我第一次听见少爷笑。
Hoping to get a reaction out of him, she even outright asks if he knows Aman, and tells him that she's her sister.
不认识。
Okay, so he definitely knows her, but how? As Yingluo continues working for the Empress, she finds that she's actually a good person. She works for the good of the country behind the scenes without parading her good deeds around, and she treats her servants very well. She begins to educate Yingluo and always allows her to speak her mind without worry of offending her. They are so good together. The Empress is just the calming and mature presence that Yingluo needs in her life, while Yingluo is the sharp protective sword to defend the Empress's back. One day, the Emperor pops in time to hear Yingluo speaking a bit too frankly for his liking about a previous emperor, his great-grandfather.
真是罪该万死。
Yingluo manages to talk her way out of it as usual, but the Emperor recognizes her voice.
奴才给谁说的？就是在给头挠痒痒。
The Empress shoos her off before he can get into it. The Emperor tries to tell her what happened, but she tells him that she really likes Yingluo and asks that he let it go for her sake. Yingluo's entrance to the Empress's camp has been a thing of beauty. They work so well together. The Empress is far too classy to fight in the dirt, but Yingluo isn't, and she sets up the perfect 1-2 punches for the Empress to daintily knock over with a final blow. And also, I can see why the Empress likes Yingluo so much compared to her other maids. I have already had it up to here with Mingyu. That scene where Mingyu takes the water from Yingluo only to bring it to the Empress and complain that Yingluo is being lazy and not doing her job. Like, does it get any lamer? We just left the embroidery department and we're right back in a den of jealous snakes. And now that the Empress knows that Mingyu has been lying, obviously, I'm not saying get rid of her, but not even a talking to, with literally no repercussions, I don't see why she would ever change. Then there's Fu Heng and Yingluo. I mean, yeah, they're freaking cute. Even with the whole scheming thing, they're so fun to watch together. I feel like the fact that Fu Heng continues to talk to Yingluo even knowing that she's Aman's sister signals to me that he's got a clear conscience. If the sibling of someone I had seriously wronged approached me one day asking questions, I would definitely be giving them a wide berth. I guess Yingluo doesn't know that for sure though. And really, I guess I wouldn't know that except that I know everyone loves him, and that wouldn't be the case if he were a rapist, right? Oh, and by everyone, I do mean everyone. I'm pretty sure every woman in this drama other than his sister has a crush on him. There are other guards. And finally, Yu. Hello? What are we doing here? Her palace was empty because she sent her maid away so she could secretly burn offerings for her friend Yi. But honestly, that shouldn't even be possible. She should be under 24/7 surveillance. I swear with the way Yu's being neglected, you'd have no idea she's carrying a possible prince for the emperor. Do you want kids, dude? At least, and this is the thing I love most about this drama, we never have to wait long for vengeance. Yingluo's mind works at 1,000 miles an hour and it is so much fun to watch. Till next time, thanks for watching.